Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live stream today, the curriculum support for the Career Choices series. Today, we're going to talk about how do you help students filter out the messages being sent to them by society. You're going to want to stick around because we're going to share links to videos and Spotify playlists from the online class agendas. We're going to talk about how you can tie in possibilities. If you don't know what that is, you really need to stick around. For how to help students understand what they're hearing about themselves. And at the very end, we have got a link to free stuff. So stick around for that. Make sure that you introduce yourself in the chat and say hi if you're here. We love to interact with you. So getting started.
Yeah, so when you introduce yourself in the chat, let us know where you're from too. I love seeing that. And speaking of locations, you'll notice that I'm in a different location today. I just want to give a shout out to all of the nurses dealing with the pandemic right now. That is why I am at home. My wife is a nurse and covering extra shifts. She normally doesn't work on Wednesdays. So that's why I'm home, so I can be here for the kids when they get home from school. So a new location for me, same live stream though. We're going to have a great time today. So let's jump right into it. Let's start with our news minute.
All right.
So our newsletter this week, we just wanted to cover a couple of the topics on there. The first one, the Medal School intent to apply. We highlighted that again. We really want all of you to apply to become a medal winning program. It's very simple. We'll put the link at the end. If you don't have the newsletter, we'll also put the link where you can subscribe to the newsletter. But we would love for you to apply to become a medal winning program so we can interview you and hear how your program is going, hear all the success stories, and maybe even give some suggestions on how you can take your program to the next level. So definitely take a look at that and get those intents to apply in. And we just can't wait to interview you. So
yeah. So those of you who haven't seen the newsletter, this is what it looks like. We will have the link to this week's newsletter again after the live stream, but we will also have the link for you to sign up so that you can get them every week. Not that we don't enjoy walking you through them, but that way you can do it on your own time.
Yes. So the first main content of the newsletter is talking about this session that took place at our virtual Get Focused, Stay Focused conference. And I think this was probably the most popular of the sessions. I think this had the highest attendance. We got the most feedback on this one. It's all about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we have this amazing team from Berkeley City College and Berkeley High School in California, led by Skylar Barton and Jasdeep Mali. And they walk us through how they use the Career Choices course that they teach as a launching point for discussions on justice, diversity, equity, inclusion, all of those topics that are so important to our students at this time. So there's a link where you can watch the recording of this session, and you can also gain access to all of the conference sessions from our latest Get Focused, Stay Focused virtual conference. So please take a look at that. Leave some comments. If you do get a chance to watch that, let us know what you thought. We have some wonderful DEI resources available that we can share with you. So yeah, just let us know what you think. And then, oh, sorry, go ahead, Brooke. Were you going to say something?
No, I was just going to say that the resource of the week that we are looking at this week is a article from Education Week. Doug Lemov, which I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, who's the author of Teach Like a Champion, wrote an article about tips from his book, so you don't necessarily have to read the whole thing, about how to help students be successful these days. It's really good.
Yeah, great article. I love this section where he walks people through a fictional student and how it's important for students to feel comfortable sharing in the classroom. If the classroom environment is not a place where a student feels comfortable sharing. Whether it's a comment they might get back from a teacher or a peer, if that comfortable environment isn't set up, then there's not going to be much discussion by that student who is feeling apprehensive to share their thoughts. So I love that part of the article the best. But yeah, lots and lots of tips on how to teach like a champion, especially during this really difficult time that we're in, going through the pandemic. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, super important. And the last thing in the newsletter is a description of all of the different online access options for mytenureplan.com. This is like really new. So if you haven't checked out your options recently, please click on the link really quickly. It's not, doesn't take a whole lot of time. It's fairly straightforward, but definitely check that out. Make sure you're using what's best for you.
Yep, there's a nice little video there that walks you through the 4 different options. So always trying to give everyone what they need. So we do have the right option for you.
And now to the main point of our live stream today.
Yes, so you probably saw on the beginning, it said the message center. This is an activity in the curriculum, one of my favorites in the entire curriculum. It's in chapter 2, and we wanted to talk about it a little bit before we jump into the resources. As Brooke mentioned at the very beginning, how do you help students filter out the messages that are being sent to them, either by society, maybe their friends on social media, maybe there's a difficult family member that they live with. How do we help students filter out those messages, believe the positive ones, and don't believe the limiting negative ones? How do we get our students to do that? And I think that this curriculum does a very, very good job of that through the entire course. One thing that I really see stand out in the curriculum is that this is all about the student. So this is all about the students figuring out who they are, what they want out of life, and how they can get it. And yes, it's very important to have mentors in your life and good teachers and people who can help you along the way. But ultimately, this is your life. It's your decisions that are going to make you happy. So, personal example, if I only did what my dad wanted me to do, then I would be a doctor right now and I would be miserable because I can barely even put a band-aid on a cut finger on one of my kids. So I loved his encouragement. I loved that he saw a lot of potential in me, but ultimately it was my decision. I knew that I could never be in the medical field. I would not last a day in the medical field. So I think this curriculum does a great job at getting this point across, and we have many, many resources to help with that. So you want to add anything to that, Brooke?
Yeah, I just love how it talks about exactly like you said, Chris. It lays that foundation of having the students say who they are, and then it says, okay, but make sure that you're listening to what's being said. So making sure that they're actually understanding there are messages being given to them that they may not realize.
Yeah.
So yeah, first resource that we want to talk about is the online class agendas.
Yes, we say a phrase often in our company, if we could wave a magic wand. And if we could wave a magic wand, we would want every instructor using these online class agendas. They are amazing. I don't really like using the word amazing, but the online class agendas are amazing. They have everything you absolutely need in them. And so just a quick glance at this one, for the activity regarding the message center, we wanted to highlight a couple of things on here. The first one is the video, the mini lecture video by Jason Soderlund. He is one of our instructors in California, and he talks about helping your students believe the positive messages that they hear. Oftentimes, people don't take compliments very well, and they kind of have it built in their brain to not believe a compliment that they hear about themselves. So he talks a lot about that, about helping your students believe the good things that they hear about themselves. And on the flip side, don't believe the negative stuff that people are saying about you. Unfortunately, we live in a society where that happens all the time. We all hear negative things about ourselves, but we need to limit those beliefs about ourselves and believe the positive things. And
Yeah.
so he has an activity that he does with his students, um, where he has them make a poster and put it in a visible place where they can always see it. And it needs to have a positive message about themselves and how they're going to choose to live a good future. So I love that activity. Watch that video mini lecture, and you'll see those ideas from Jason.
Yeah. And that's just one example of the videos in the online class agendas. Thank you, Spencer, for pointing that out. There are so many videos that are available in those. But as you can see, that one short video could be a whole lesson.
Definitely. Yep, and we all know how much teenagers love videos right now. So I think it's great that these online class agendas are just filled with videos that you can share with your students.
Yeah. The other thing that I really, really love and I actually use for myself when I'm having rough days is in the online class agendas, there's an online skill building. And talks about using music to boost your mood. And Jason's actually put together an attitude mix that he uses for his class. And we'll include the links to that on Apple Music and Spotify. Or you can go find it in the online class agenda right now. And I really, really enjoyed it. It's not, it has a lot of music that isn't stuff that I would just pick to listen to, but he's chosen this music specifically to mood enhance, like it to boost your attitude and your mood. And so it's something that I actually use on a regular basis.
Yeah, and I think I remember him saying that he sometimes he has those songs playing as the students walk into the classroom just to just to get that mood set right from the beginning. Lots of positive, upbeat songs with good messages.
Yeah. So do me a favor, if you've used the online class agendas, either live or if you're watching this after, mention in the comments. Have you been using it? Are they helpful for you? Have you watched that video? Have you done this with your class? Let us know.
And I need to add one. There's a song that my family loves that's not on Jason's list, but we listen to it all the time at my house. It's called Proud by Marshmello. So take a look at that song. It really motivates my kids, and it's kind of a fun way just to let them know how proud I am of them. So great song. I highly recommend you check it out.
Yeah, that's a good one. You introduced me to that one, and I really love that one too.
Yeah, it's a great one. Okay, so
So,
the instructor's guide now. We have some more resources to help with the message center activity. Instructor's guide, if you have that with you, turn to section 4, page 32, and that's where you'll find the activities for the message center activity. And the part that I wanted to highlight was that this lesson is a great opportunity to bring in a school counselor. We one of the things we try to stress is that when the students are creating their 10-year plans, that we love when the entire staff at your school has access to these 10-year plans, especially the counselors. If a counselor can go in and look at a 10-year plan summary before they meet with a student, then they can quickly get a glance and know exactly what their hopes and dreams are, what their plans are, and it makes that meeting with the counselor so much more effective. And so one of the things we recommend is that counselors go into the classroom and help teach some of these lessons. So this one about the message center is a perfect one for a counselor to come in and help. How do you think that is, Brooke? How could a counselor help with that activity?
well, it's one of the things that I hear from teachers constantly is especially with stuff like this. This is very much in a counselor's wheelhouse. They have been trained how to help students understand that even though people may be giving you messages that are negative to you, they may not be like intending it, and how to handle that emotionally if they are intending it. So this can be something that is very deeply personal and very affecting to these students. And so making sure that you have somebody in the classroom, or being able to have somebody in the classroom who can help students emotionally process this, is very helpful. And I hear that from teachers all the time who have the opportunity. There's a team actually that I'm thinking about. It's a teacher and a counselor, and they teach the course together. And they identify these types of activities to make sure that the counselor handles them, because it can be potentially emotionally impactful for these students.
Yeah, that is so true. And as we all know, every student comes from a different background. They have different living situations. So, yeah, counselors are well equipped to deal with that and help them process all the messages that they're receiving from all the different sources in the world, social media, commercials, TV shows, their friends, family. Counselors are perfect to help with that.
Speaking of social media, something that we wanted to bring up is actually something we talked about last week. It was our resource from the newsletter last week, which is our viewing guide for the social dilemma, which is on our website. And I will add the link after the live stream is over. But it one of the best things about this, and you can go back and listen in detail what we talked about with it last week, but one of the best things about this is it makes you aware of these messages that you're receiving from these social media platforms that you may not have been aware of.
Yeah, and I'm happy to report that I watched it last night and I didn't fall asleep. So,
Yay!
yeah, I started a little earlier than usual and funny enough, I made it through without falling asleep. So,
It's traumatic, isn't it, a little bit, the first time
it
you watch
is.
it?
Yeah, and the one thing I wanted to talk about is my wife and I, we have a lot of the same friends on social media. And so one thing that the documentary pointed out that I loved is that the algorithms are so good about putting in front of your face what they think you need to see. You can have basically the same list of friends and have two completely different news feeds. And that could be on anything. It could be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, Pinterest. They talk about all of them and how important it is for students to know that that's what's happening, that there are very, very intelligent algorithms out there that are getting smarter and smarter about pushing certain messages to you. And so what do you do with those messages? How do you filter out the bad ones and stick to the good ones? So very, very, very impactful documentary. I'm glad I made it through.
Yeah, and I like that Spencer pointed out you can get this for free without Netflix. All you have to do is, and I'm gonna have to actually take the comment off so you guys can see it. Go to our resource page, which we just pulled up, which will be included in the chat, and you click here, and then it tells you exactly how to get access to this without having a Netflix subscription. So that is available to everybody, not just people with Netflix.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Spencer. Thank you for pointing that out. And so the next thing that we wanted to talk about was the actual activity in the textbook.
Yay!
So if you have your textbook and you turn to page 52, you'll see the actual message center activity. And I love this because it's like a voicemail message. So you have the students imagine their mom, their dad, their teacher, any other significant adult in their life, their friend, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, anyone they want, to imagine them leaving you a voicemail about what they want to tell you about your future. And so it's a great opportunity for students to reflect, and they can put good messages there. They can put bad messages. Like if they know that they're going to get a limiting message from their dad or whatever, then they put that in there. And as they review those, they can see, okay, these are who are giving me the good messages. These are who are giving me limiting messages. What do I do with all of this? And so I love the way that this activity lays it all out and has them write those down. And then there's a place at the bottom for society's message. So what is society telling you as well? Is it a good message or is it a bad message?
And this is something that's especially important, and it points out in the instructor's guide for women, girls, um, teenage females, because um, society has a lot of expectations that are layered on top, and it's becoming just as important for men and boys as well, as things evolve. But things like, if you want to go into construction, women can go into construction. There's no problem with that. That's something we typically view as a masculine employment, but I know many women who are very happy in that particular field, which we would not necessarily, girls may not consider right up front.
Yeah, definitely. Another personal example is computer coding. My daughter, I have 5 kids, one daughter, and right now she's in a computer coding class and she absolutely loves it. And so I know it's getting better and better, but when computer coding, first kind of started getting popular, then it was all, you thought it was just for boys sort of thing. But now girls are getting into it and my daughter loves it. So,
Hi, Margot.
oh, hi
Sorry to interrupt
Margot.
you, Chris.
Oh yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming, Margot. So yeah, just don't limit don't limit anyone. Don't give those limiting beliefs about certain jobs are only for certain people. Let students dream, let them dream big and figure out what is good for them, what's going to make them happy and have a successful future.
And the other aspect of this that I really, really like is having the students write 5 messages to themselves that they need to hear. So it's
Yes,
not just, okay, what are you hearing? It's, okay, so this is all of the stuff that you are hearing. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. That's great. What do you need to hear so that you can be successful? And that's so important. I mean, I can't even possibly fathom the number of self-help books that have this as a basic premise.
definitely. Yeah. So yeah, have the students write those messages down, recite them to themselves, go back and visit them often, and most importantly, have them believe those messages that they write about themselves. Oh yes, thank you for pointing that out.
So, let's see here if I can find it. Now, I am really excited to talk about possibilities. This is one of my favorite resources. I love it mainly because I am well, you're the English person. I'm the novel and fantasy reading person. But
Yeah, I'm a big poetry guy too, and I know you're not as much into poetry, but there's a great poem that goes with this lesson, the message center. So, in possibilities on page 61, there's a poem called Life by Nan Terrell Reed. And I love the first line. It says, "They told me that life could be just what I made it." So she started off with really positive messages. People were telling her, you can make your life whatever you want it to be. But then as you go through the poem, she compares it to sewing a dress and how she picked out something that wasn't really in fashion, but she loved it because it was her. She picked out the rosiest color. Um, she started making these decisions that were making her happy, that were going to make her the happiest. And then all those limiting voices started coming in. People were telling her, "Oh no, that doesn't look pretty. That's going to cost too much." Someone actually reached in and started twisting the thread. Someone lost her scissors, and by the time the dress was done, it was a product that had many, many different people's influence on it, and she wasn't happy with it. So, a great poem to talk about with your students on which which messages do you need to listen to, which ones do you need to filter out, and how do you do it?
yeah, and something that really hit me about the poem from this week is I actually I dabble in sewing. I'm not good at it. But that's what really hit me about this is when I sew something, most of the time I'm flying by the seat of my pants. I'm just making it up. Um and so to have somebody standing over me and being like, why are you putting that color with that color? Well, why aren't you doing this way? Why aren't you doing it that way? I know I don't know what I'm doing. And that's something that I've realized the older I get, the more I realize nobody knows what they're doing.
Yeah. Yep.
But with sewing, I know I don't know what I'm doing, but I do, I do it because I can and because I'm wanting a product in a specific way for me. And I know that it's not going to look professional when I'm done, but to have all those people being like, well, why'd you do this? Why'd you do this? Well, let me take this. Well, let me take that. That would drive me crazy. But
Yep.
how often do we do that in real life?
Yeah, especially with students trying to figure out their lives. Like another personal example, I have a son who's a senior in high school right now, and so he's kind of making some final decisions, and I've caught myself saying dumb things for no reason, because we're just used to it in our society. Like, are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure you want to do computers when just last year you were really excited about being an eye doctor? Like, I need to let him dream, guide him along the way, and not give him those limiting messages.
Yeah, and I love one of the questions that brings up in here is how much importance should you place on other people's opinions? Are you going to let them put their hands on your project, on your sewing project? No, you don't touch my sewing project. I will slap you. But should you have to live up to other people's goals and ideas? Some people, yeah. I know when I started working here, there was a woman named Georgette who was working here, and I work every day to try to live up to her because she's the type of person that I want to be. Some people, we probably shouldn't.
Very true. So yeah, I think that's the message we're trying to get across today is what are you telling your students to do with these messages? How are you helping them filter out these messages? Are they hearing only the negative ones, or are they hearing the positive ones as well? And what can we do as educators to help them realize it's their life and it's their decision, their choice on what's going to make them happy? And hopefully, the resources we pointed out today will help you with that. Um, this is recorded, it's going to be on all of our social media channels. So if you weren't here for the whole thing live, go back to our social media channels when this is posted. Take a look at those resources. We're going to post all the links to everything we talked about at the very end. So hopefully you'll check those out and have a good time with this activity.
Yeah. So at this point, we would like to invite everybody to ask questions. If you haven't up to this point, please feel free to drop questions in the chat. But while you were thinking about what questions you want, I do want to talk a little bit about our upcoming webinars and our free stuff. Maybe Chris, you could talk about the free stuff.
Yeah.
So we have 2 webinars coming up. We have our best practice highlights webinar, which is where we talk about the MEDAL program and the specific best practices that you can use to implement to get the best results from this program. This week we are talking about site leadership, on February 8th, we are talking about site leadership and how leadership can affect a program. And then we have Tips Tuesday, which is our tips where we dive even deeper than what we are doing today. And that is on February 15th. And we're going to be talking about setting goals and objectives.
Very important topic. Yeah, so hopefully you'll join us on those webinars. Those links will be in the comments at the very end also. So the free stuff, we mentioned this last week, and we want to make sure everyone knows about it. There is a survey that will also be linked in the comments at the very end, where if you fill out that survey, you can claim a free calendar or 2 or 3, whatever you need for your site. Just let us know. And then we also want suggestions of other free merchandise you would love to see from our team, and we will do our best to make it happen. So please fill out that survey and let us know your thoughts.
Yep. And these are really cool calendars with quotes from the curriculum. So it is designed by our amazing team. They're fabulous. We've had a couple of them in the past, and I love all of them. So don't miss out. It is free. All you have to do is tell us where to send it. So do not miss out on that.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Oh, no problem. I was just going to ask if any questions had come in.
Nope, no questions today. Apparently, we did a really good job covering the topic.
Well, I know you did. I don't know about me, but I know you did a great job, Brooke.
No, you're amazing. I could not do this without you.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us. And same time, same place next week, and we'll do this all again. So thank you all so much. Enjoy teaching about the Message Center, and leave any comments even after the fact, and we will see them. Let us know your thoughts and if you have any questions.
And if you need anything, our contact information is below. So please do not hesitate to reach out when we're not on the live stream. We want to be talking to you.
I agree.